Too?
Yes.
Do you enjoy it?
Yes.
What's the most exciting part about it?
Being with the players and being on the grass.
Fresh haircut, where'd you get it? Just kidding. For you guys, I know Eric Armstead goes on PUP. Anybody injury updates as far as over the last 6 weeks?
No, the only one, Keelan Robinson just sprained his toe during the rookie camp, so he'll be limited. And then during the conditioning test yesterday, Stephen Jones, calf, just tweaked his calf, so he'll just be a couple of, maybe a week or two on that.
What's the biggest thing you look for from the team early in camp?
Started yesterday, just the conditioning of the team, how they came back in shape, and they did a great job and really knocked out that test, which obviously is part of their physical and everything. But I think just for the young guys, it's the mental. How much can they retain from the last time we were together in June to now, and then the vets just kind of picking up, where they where they left off, and maybe knocking a little rust off and getting back into it.
Any issues with the conditioning test?
No, it was great. Yeah, it was great.
You've been in a NFL locker room, obviously, for a long time. What are all these off-season moves? Trevor getting paid, Josh getting paid, Tyson yesterday. What's the domino effect?
I think the domino effect is how it can uplift your team, right? I think it shows a commitment from the organization that the guys that have been drafted here can be here long term, and I think that's a great message for a lot of the young players that we draft and potentially undrafted guys, and it gives you, I think, that peace of mind as well, that especially with the quarterback position, that's not lingering now. It's behind all of us, and we can just focus on ball. And I think the same with Josh and Tyson, all those guys, because they were, they're big money guys, right? And each one of them deserves, what they got, and it's because of their play on the field. And I think it sends a great message to the rest of the team that if you do things right, both on and off the field, you could be rewarded for it.
Coach, you spoke a lot about last year. You guys were kind of waiting for those moments to happen, and they kind of never did, where chemistry kicked in. What can you do what things did you do to put in place, not waiting for it, making it happen this year?
Well, I think, just looking back and learning on, some of those moments last year, especially the end of the season, I think, just we have to stay grounded. We got to continue to trust each other, right? Trust our process, the standard that we've put in place here, and regardless of what happens, injuries are going to be a part of our game, and at every position, and it's got to be a next man up type mentality, and that's got to be the message moving forward. That it takes everybody, and we kind of stressed that this offseason, and making sure that everybody is a part of it, right? And we're developing the entire team, and not just a certain few. And I think that's the key with the back half of the season, right? When you get into late November, December, early January, that you're going to have to play some of your younger players to carry you through to where you want to be.
You guys have gone through a camp with Ryan Nielsen, the defensive coordinator. What kind of identity would you say is in what he does in handling practice, or how he handles players? What do you think is kind of the signature of what he does?
I think one, there's excitement around Ryan and what he's brought, to the defense, and how he's going to utilize the players defensively. I think you'll see, when you're out there, just the excitement. It's an attack style of defense. Guys are moving forward. I think it just suits the players, right? And I think the players have really bought into that, and you're going to see a lot of teaching, a lot of coaching, by not just by Ryan but his entire staff, both sides of the ball, special teams, and today's day one, and it just goes from here.
Talk about the next step for Trevor, but what's the next step that Tyson has to make?
I think with Tyson just continuing to grow, young player, again, like we said, having stability now. He's going to be in one place for a while, and just continue to build off of his first few years. I do think that the things that we're doing defensively are going to help him, right? I think that the scheme is going to help him in the style that the secondary is going to play. I think it suits him. And Tyson is one that he's not a big guy, but he's a physical guy, and I think this is really going to help him take another step, and continue to work on his ball skills, obviously, and just have that presence about him that he's one of the top corners in the league.
Are you changing anything you're doing in camp this year 3, with a bunch of guys that, for the most part, been
I
around?
don't like to change a whole lot. I mean, there's some schedule changes that I've made, but nothing on the practice field or anything like that. We still, it's abide by the guidelines that the league has put forth, and so nothing like that is going to change. Just I moved around some meeting times and walkthroughs and things like that, but other than that, no.
What can it mean for some of the young offensive linemen to see how a guy like Mitch Morse opens up camp and goes about the business?
Well, it sends a message to them like this is how a pro takes care of himself physically, right, and mentally, how he approaches every single day, and just his leadership style, how he can bring along young guys. This is going to be really good for Luke, and to see just how Mitch operates, and that's what vets do, and he's a guy that's willing to show others how to do it, and I think that's important. I think Eric Armstead, when we get him on the field too, I think that's another one that could be great for Trayvon, right? To be able to see just what it takes. So they're very similar positionally. They can both go inside, outside, and then physically they're both kind of the same. So it'll be great for both those guys really to lead. Probably more by example.
How much has that been a focal point as you've looked at Ryan's defense, what happened last year, saying, hey, we've got to get Trayvon doing multiple things along the front, and he needs to take that next step?
Again, I think this is really this scheme is going to help Trayvon. It's going to help Josh. I think it's just going to utilize the strengths of both of those players, and I think it's the reason why we drafted Trayvon, right? And the reason why Josh is here and we extended Josh. I mean, it's their skill set is to get after quarterbacks, and the two of them together is a pretty good group, in this league, and I just think that the changes we've made they're gonna benefit from that.
Given the fact that there'll be more pass rushers in 4-3 defensive ends as opposed to outside linebackers, was there any conversation about them putting on more weight, putting on more muscle, or is that just kind of circumstantial as they both develop?
I think it's as they develop and as their bodies over time develop. There's a fine line there. You don't want too much weight and it slows them down, and I guess the thing is too, you draft those guys for a specific position on your team, offense, defense, special teams, whatever it might be, and you try not to change that too much, right? We can coach them up and coach technique and fundamentals and all that, but when it comes to height, weight, speed, we need to use their God-given ability and talent, as a strength for us on defense.
Can having fans at practice help keep the energy high on the field?
Oh yeah, certainly. Fans are great. Love having them out there. They're starting to pile in now, and it's great for the players. Obviously, brings a little energy and excitement to training camp.
What's your level of concern, if any, about how quickly Armstead can get where you want him to be, where there's no issue with
This guy, he's played a ton of football, right? So, veteran player. I don't have a lot of concern with it's want to make sure, guys like that we brought them here obviously to help us, but at the same time we got to make sure that they're healthy before we put them on the field. And he knows what it takes. He's a vet. I've seen him during OTAs. I've seen him even while he was here during our little 3 days with the rookies, and just how he's kind of another coach right now on the field, right? Until he gets ready to go. So that's invaluable. That's gold out there on the on the field. And so I'm not concerned right now this early that he's not out there. I just want to make sure that when he is out there that he's 100%.
You previously stated that the way last year ended being motivator for you. What do you think it will be for the players, particularly for the ones who went through it?
Yeah, I think the same thing. I think it's, I think you're going to hear it when you ask them, that it's motivation, it's fuel. It was a disappointing, way to our end of our season. As high it was for the first 11 games, it was just as low, the last 6. So, but again, it's all stuff we can learn from, right? And how it motivates guys and how we can, lean on those experiences, coaches and players, and with the addition of the new guys, hopefully that helps us get through those times.
Coach, I'm talking about challenges with you a lot in general, but how much of a relief is it to have this many big name guys and their contracts squared away? Trevor, Josh, Tyson. How much weight does that take off of you going into a
Yeah. I mean, it is great, and it's a credit to Trent and working with agents and getting and the players and getting these things done. I mean, it's just I guess you could call it a relief. It's not hanging over us, right? And I don't have to answer all the questions. This will probably be the last time I get to answer questions about contracts, and it's great for all of us, right? That frees them up now to just go play.
Coach, one more thing about contracts. You guys weren't shy to spend money this offseason, but was that the plan going into the offseason, or did it just kind of pan out in the way, like, we're paying guys, let's go ahead and kind of get it done?
Well, I mean, each year you look at who's going to be free. I mean, and who's going to be on your roster, who are the guys. And so, and whether their contract is up or not. I mean, Trevor still had, a couple of years, all that. But if you can lock those guys down and get them extended, you try to do it, regardless of, what's going on, how much money you got. You just find the way, right? And you work through it. And with all three of them, obviously it took some time, but at the same time, it was 3 guys that we focused on, and we wanted to make sure that guys that were drafted here stay here. I think in the past that hasn't been the case, right? You let good players out the door, and you can't do that anymore, And so it's a credit to Trent, working with these agents, working with the players, to get these guys done.
Time for a couple more. Let's go to Justin first.
Doug, last year going into the offseason, you said you had to drill down on a lot of things. Play calling was something that's been asked. Are you going to explore taking this back over as Preseason? Is that something that's been decided yet?
He'll do it today in practice.
Preseason and then season, that's still up in the air?
Yeah, we're still in discussions with all that, and I'm not ready to make a public decision yet.
Do you plan on having the starters play in all preseason games, or what's your projection on that?
I have, other than the Tampa Bay game, because when Tampa comes here, we get a lot of work done, a lot of great work with the starters, so I usually hold them out of that game. But the first 1 and 3, Kansas City and Atlanta, definitely play the starters. It's selective. I would say in the past, not all the starters would play, but I like playing them. They need to play. They need to have, that sense of urgency. They need to feel game readiness. I'll play them.
All right, last one right here.
Coach, yesterday was Jack Lampert's birthday. Do you have an alpha dog here?
Do I have an alpha dog here?
Yesterday was Jack Lampert's birthday. You know Jack Lampert?
Yes.
Do you have a Jack Lampert on defense?
You know what?
People that scare people in football.
I know this. I mean, our linebacker, Foye Olakun, he's led the league the last couple of years in tackles. He's been one of the top tackling linebackers in this league. I mean, he's somebody that you would put in that maybe put him in that boat. I just think the game has changed a little bit, but you look at guys like that. I'll tell you this, Darnell Savage, pound for pound, I would probably put him in that group too.
Steel curtain aside, last question over here.
I was going to let Brent ask all the play calling questions, but Shad made it pretty clear that he wants you to call plays, even though he said he's going to let you decide who calls plays. But does that does that come into your thinking that the owner, my boss, really wants me to call plays?
Yes.
Okay. You'll weigh that when you're making that final call?
Yes.
Okay, so